or whatever, okay? You get my point here. So if it makes sense to just solve the freaking problem, all these people that can't afford housing, is just buy them housing, you're done, okay? So the difference in price is infinite, okay? Infinite, infinite. You're going to pay for one forever in perpetuity to Rich Dad, and it's just going to go up. Your taxes got to go up so you can subsidize him. Or you could say, okay, well, you know what? This really bugs me that I got to buy these poor people houses and it's coming out of my taxes. But knowing this, that your taxes are going to go down over time. It's the difference of buying a house. Let's say you get a 30-year mortgage, right? Did you know that if you just paid it just, like you agreed to in the beginning, no refinance or anything, you would have paid for that house 2.5 times over. Do you understand? So by paying over time, paying this interest rate, if you pay $100,000 for a house, 200,000, whatever it is, you'll actually pay 100,000. You're going to pay 250,000 for that house over 30 years. A $200,000 house, you're going to pay $500,000 for that house over that period of 30 years. So am I making clear what the point I'm trying to get across here is? It's not hard to understand. It's all very simplistic mathematics. It doesn't get you really into a lot of economic stuff. I mean, it's certainly not the kind of rubbish they're going to teach you if you take economics in college, okay? Because I've taken, real estate economics at least, and I've learned a lot about this, and I know that it's a big fat scam. I know they encourage people to be underhanded. I mean, I'm going to take one example here. I talk about homesteading and how this used to be the way that we handle it. We let people, hey, you know what? I mean, we got the back in the day, we had the Hoovervilles right during the Depression. Nobody could afford anything, much less paying rent. And so they grouped together and they banded together. And then there was homesteading, right, where people were just taking land. And people said, well, how can that be if it's public property or it's private property? Hands off. It belongs to somebody else. But that's not the case, okay? What you learn is that there's a whole lot of property out there, but you just can't go and take what you want as easily as I believe you ought to be able to. If it's not being inhabited, and if it's private property, yes, I respect private property and all this, but understand there is no private property. It's a conflation of government and private, because just try not paying your property taxes and find out who really owns your property. Okay, that's my point. So there's this thing in the law called adverse possession, which you learn about in real estate school. And what this means is it involves, going out and finding the plot of land you want, and you've got to get it surveyed so that you know what you're paying taxes on. You've got to go pay taxes to the county assessment, tax assessor's office, okay, for that specific plot on a map. You've got to show them. And then you pay tax on that for 5 years. And then you can actually get a legal title to the property. But what I don't like about it is you learn that one of the prerequisites, one of the components of this law is that it has to be a hostile thing. Hostile, that's in there. So in other words, you've got to be stealing. It's essentially stealing property. It seems very underhanded to go out there and plot out this land on somebody's private property and just start paying taxes on it. I mean, I guess it could work with public. You would have to talk to a real estate attorney about this, okay? And there are real estate attorneys that can help you. Of course, then it's going to cost you. So it's not even really a door that's open to the poor. They don't even know what the law is. They certainly can't afford a real estate attorney or, a surveyor to come out and plot them off an acre or whatever it is they want. So you understand that it should be the kind of thing where there is no law, but we have a law, but it's a very quasi. It's kind of sort of, you know what I mean? It's not a certain thing. There's nothing engraved. You got to go fight for your rights, in other words, if you know how, if you're educated to do so. And by no means, I don't want anybody out there thinking, when I talk about libraries and how books aren't as important as food or housing, well, I'm right about that. Who can argue that's not true? So if the government's going to subsidize reading, which I'm all for subsidized education. Hey, I'd make it free all the way through, K through 12 and beyond. Who really cares, okay? If we all had a PhD in our chosen field of interest, it doesn't negate the fact in any way that we need people doing menial jobs. This is the only point I make about education. I'm all for it. I believe in learning. I love having a good vocabulary, knowing a lot of words. It's so that I can communicate effectively and convey what I'm trying to get across to people, because I just don't think there's enough of that being done. But the point I'm trying to make here is that if we're going to be logical as a civilized society, and we're going to do things that make sense, with our tax dollars, so fiscally speaking, if we're going to do stuff, prudently and logically, then we have to examine the views of people that, like myself. I don't hear people talking about this stuff. But fiscal prudency, fiscal conservatism is logical. It makes a lot of sense. It's like I said, over time, I mean, could you imagine what you're going to be subsidizing Rich Dad in the future? More and more. He needs more of your tax dollars just so he can keep getting ahead. So he's got to raise his rent, and that's got to come out of your pocket, okay? And that's what the government says, okay? They're the ones. They're working together. That's what you got to get through your head. That's why it's fascist. It's wrong. They're working against the best interests of the people. It's a lot of colluding groups, okay, that are working together here and collaborating with each other to do this. There's called special interest groups. That's what it is. It's all super, super simple. But, on another subject here about these presidential polls, they can't be trusted. Here's something where there's no laws. Here is an entity, okay, like polling, pollsters. You hear, oh, well, this well-respected poll, but there's no laws surrounding it. In other words, there's no regulators. There's nobody out there with checks and balances, oversight, accountability, nothing. Okay, no rules, no regulations. So if I want to start a big company and I just get donations from rich people, say, here's what I'm going to do, okay, whisper, quietly to my investors and let them know, yes, I'm going to rig the daylights out of these polls. You want the Republicans to win? Well, here's what we do, because it's all in the head. The media, are we going to let the media decide our next president? Well, if we keep going the way we are, we are. So I'm going to get through to these people. I'm going to say, look, I'm going to swing the polls the other way, because I'm not only going to set up one polling place with one name, I'm going to say, no, we're going to start this group over here, and we're going to start one over here. So we've got all these groups that are colluding with each other, and they're all going to skew the polls in favor of the candidate we want to win. So just give me tons of money, and I'll go out there and set up the system, because there's absolutely no rules, no regulations, no laws about doing this media manipulation, which essentially is propaganda. Because the media will elect the next president, okay, if we let them do it. And we know what's going on. We know that the establishment hates Donald Trump. And that's why myself and so many others like myself, Alex Jones had Steve Quayle on the other day, and he likes the guy, and I respect the daylights out of Steve Quayle, and so many others out there. I mean, all the people he gets on that show, I just can't believe. Steve Pachenik, who else? I mean, the list of his guests that he interviews on that show never ends. That's why I'm kind of addicted to the show, because I genuinely like a lot of these people. Like during his 28-hour thing, I really like these people, that he's interviewing, and not every one of them, but by and large, I really do. As long as they are on message, and the message really has to be about how America is being destroyed. Who are the players in the destruction of America, and what is the end game? What do they want out of this thing? And what you find out is these are madmen. These are insane, crazy people, evil geniuses. And they really hate humanity. They really want to destroy us. So yes, social Darwinianism is a huge part of what they're doing with this New World Order cabal. Look at the Georgia Guidestones and set up in the state of Georgia. There's massive new stones, these new 10 Commandments or whatever they have. That sounds so altruistic. This is once they've got the earth down to 500 million. So they've got designs on destroying over 90% of the population of the earth right now. And people can say, well, they could never get away with that even if they wanted to. But then beyond that, a lot of people think, well, no, that's not true. They want the consumers. It's for business. They care about business, right? I mean, duh. Or, they care about the slaves. They need the workers. Not anymore. This is why price fixing, which is, again, the collusion of all these special interest groups that are fixing your cost of living, destroying the worth of your currency, is so dangerous, so pernicious. It's so bad, okay? It's so wrong and immoral, unethical and ungodly, okay, to allow this to happen. This is how they're doing it. This is what's going on here. They want America more pathetic than a third world country. And if we allow them to keep going down this road, that's what we're going to get. We're going to have starving children everywhere. That's what they would allow. Hey, I don't like welfare any better than the next guy, but you know what? These are the people that created the need for the welfare. We know that. We know about the Cloward and Piven strategy. They want to take our wealth, and people say, well, why would they want to do that? They just don't want to share. They're greedy. Well, yeah. They think we're a scourge on the earth. They want us to stop burning fossil fuels. This is the whole idea. This is why it seems so, right to them and okay. And, we're the principled ones, and we're the elitist, and we're smarter. We have, university educations and PhDs and Harvard degrees and all this crap. And they're not. These are ungodly bunch of thugs. In my mind, that's why I liken the New World Order cabal to ISIS. And ISIS needs to know that too. I think ISIS isn't even as bad, and you see the heinous stuff they do. Okay, I mean, what happened in Nice, killing, I forget how many people. I mean, in the nightclub in Orlando. And speaking of that, Hillary Clinton had the dad of the mass murderer that killed almost, some 50 people at the nightclub. She had him sitting directly behind her, and not a word from the mainstream media pointing this out. That what in the hell is this guy sitting behind Hillary Clinton smiling? And he's on board. He's supporting her. Okay, and this is the guy that taught his son, right from wrong. Okay, and Hillary Clinton's got him, and yet we're going to deride the daylights out of Donald Trump. He doesn't even know David Duke, but as soon as he said who, and so the media jumped on that. He didn't disavow him immediately, and they went on and kept asking him the same question and just beating on him. But Hillary Clinton, she's got the dad of the mass murderer sitting behind her, right? But 20 feet away. From where she was, and not a whisper, okay, about this. And what's this all about? And who taught this kid right from wrong that did this to these people at the nightclub? Okay, I mean, this is crazy world. We've entered the twilight zone now. So we're down to the wire. I really believe that we're down to the wire. And there's just no way. They can't keep the charade going forever. The American people are too smart. We know. If you look at our brief history, we're the Wild West here. Okay, we don't put up with this kind of crap. We're not going to let a lot of thugs and hypocrites and criminals and corrupt, brainless morons and just all these people that are pushing humanity around. We're not going to let this go on forever. The good guy is going to prevail here. And we've got too many good people in the military and in law enforcement, not just your local police, but, the higher ranks of the FBI and all this stuff. We've got good guys, white hats in there, that are on the side of the people, that really care about justice in America, and they're not going to go along with this. And this is what really bugs the New World Order cabal, even though they don't act like it, because it hasn't caught up with them yet. But eventually, the rubber's going to meet the road, and these people are going to learn. The shoe's going to be on the other foot, and it's not going to be so much fun for these people. They're going to be hated forever, and their wealth is going to be taken from them, as it should. These people deserve to be the paupers that are causing the problems. I mean, we're constantly looking at the poor and how they have this entitlement, and they want the welfare, and they expect this from the rich and that, instead of looking at the people that are destroying the currency and causing all the poverty and stealing your wealth. These are the people that are the problem. These banksters, the money printing class, and this political class that's colluding and destroying our money and destroying our culture. And then they say you're bad if you don't want all these refugees to come in from these wars they manufactured. They create the problems. Problem, reaction, solution. These people want to be in control of everything. As long as there's lots of problems in society, they've got a job. They've got relevance. They stay in power. So we've got to understand what I'm saying is not being cynical. I'm just being matter of fact. I'm pointing out the truth. And everybody's got to get that. I'm not being negative because I believe in the long run. I believe what's written in the scriptures, in the Bible. I believe in the return of Jesus. I believe that the earth will be renewed and it's going to be a kind of heaven on earth when death is finally swallowed up in victory as written. Yes, that day is coming. In the meantime, we got to fight the good fight, and it's not always fun, and it affects our spirits. It affects my spirits. It makes me want to run. It makes me want to escape. I don't want to be around it. I don't like feeling coerced into taking sides